Your mind is a dangerous master. It is killing your life before you have even lived it. You are not the thinker, you are the witness of this mechanical noise called the mind. Thinking is a substitute for being. The more you think, the less you exist. You cannot wash blood with blood, and you cannot stop the mind by using the mind. Stop being a slave to a machine that never sleeps. Step out of the crowd of your thoughts. Hello, my beloved friends. I can see you are tired. You look exhausted, not because you have been working hard in the fields or because you have walked 1,000 miles, but because your mind will not stop. It is a constant chatter, a noise that never ends. You call it overthinking, and you think it is a disease that you can cure with a few techniques. But I tell you, overthinking is not the disease, it is just a symptom. The real disease is that you are asleep. Even when you think you are awake, even when your eyes are open and you are driving your car or talking to your wife, you are deep in a dream. One of the most important things to be understood about man is that man is asleep. Your wakefulness is very fragile. It is so tiny, it doesn't matter at all. It is only a beautiful name, but utterly empty. You sleep in the night, you sleep in the day. From birth to death, you go on changing your patterns of sleep, but you never really awaken. Just by opening the eyes, do not befool yourself that you are awake. Unless the inner eyes open, unless your inside becomes full of light, unless you can see yourself and know who you are, do not think that you are awake. That is the greatest illusion man lives in. And once you accept that you are already awake, then there is no question of making any effort to be awake. The first thing to sink deep in your heart is that you are asleep, utterly asleep. You are dreaming, day in and day out. You are dreaming sometimes with open eyes and sometimes with closed eyes. But you are dreaming. You are a dream. You are not yet a reality. And of course, in a dream, whatsoever you do is meaningless. Whatsoever you think is pointless. Whatsoever you project remains part of your dreams and never allows you to see that which is. This is why you feel so much pressure in your head. You are trying to solve life through thoughts, but life cannot be solved through thinking. Thinking is a movement in the past or in the future. It has no space in the present. For centuries, all the Buddhas have insisted on only one thing: awaken. Continuously, for centuries, their whole teaching can be contained in a single phrase: be awake. And they have been devising methods and strategies to suck you into awareness. This video, this very moment we are sharing, is also a strategy. If you find value in these words, if they touch a chord in your heart, I invite you to click the join button to support this work. This is not just a channel, it is a space for consciousness to grow. Your support through join or by using super thanks helps us keep this fire of awareness burning for all seekers around the world. And if you want to go deeper, our ebooks are available to guide you on this path. But remember, do not make meditation into a goal. The moment you make it a goal, you start thinking about it and you miss the point again. The master wrote meditation in small letters on the sand. The man asked him to be clearer. The master wrote it in bigger letters. The man still didn't understand. Finally, the master wrote it in capital letters, meditation. And then he said, I have already committed a sin. By making it big, I have made a god out of it. Silence is the space in which one awakens, and the noisy mind is the space in which one remains asleep. If your mind continues chattering, you are asleep. I never use the word renunciation. I say rejoice in life, in love, in meditation, in the beauties of the world. Transform the mundane into the sacred, and then indirectly a certain renunciation starts happening. You start renouncing your foolishnesses. You start renouncing rubbish. You start renouncing these meaningless relationships and jobs that do not fulfill your being. But I don't call it renunciation. I call it understanding. If you are carrying stones thinking they are diamonds, I will not tell you to drop them. I will simply say, be alert and have another look. If you yourself see that they are not diamonds, will you keep carrying them? They will fall from your hands of their own accord. Wakefulness is the way to life. The fool sleeps as if he were already dead. But the master is awake and he lives forever. We go on living absolutely inattentive to what is happening around us. We have become very efficient in doing things. So efficient that we don't need any awareness to do them. It has become mechanical, automatic. We function like robots. We are not men yet. We are machines. George Gurdjieff used to say this again and again, and he offended many people. Nobody likes to be called a machine. But if you watch yourself, you will know how mechanically you behave. Psychologists like Pavlov and Skinner were 99.9% right about man. They studied rats and concluded things about man, and their conclusions were almost right, because normal humanity is utterly asleep. Even animals are not so asleep. Have you seen a deer in the forest? How alert he looks, how watchfully he walks. Have you seen a bird sitting on a tree? How intelligently he goes on watching what is happening all around. But man is the most asleep animal on the earth. Look at the story of Adam and Eve. Why were they expelled from paradise? They were expelled because they had eaten the fruit of knowledge. They were expelled because they had become minds and they had lost their consciousness. If you become a mind, you lose consciousness. Mind means sleep, noise, and mechanicalness. Hence, the whole work that has to be done is to become consciousness again and lose the mind. You have to throw out of your system all that you have gathered as knowledge. It is knowledge that keeps you asleep. The more knowledgeable a person is, the more asleep he is. Innocent villagers are far more alert and awake than the professors in the universities. The pundits in the temples are nothing but parrots. The academicians are full of absolutely meaningless noise, just minds and no consciousness. When you work with nature, you have to be alert. Trees are alert. If a woodcutter comes with an axe and the deliberate desire to cut a tree, all the trees that see him coming tremble. There are scientific proofs for this. They become aware that death is close by. But if the woodcutter is simply passing by with no intention to cut, no tree becomes afraid. They decode the very vibe of his intention. Man seems to be the only one who has lost this intuitive alertness. You are alive only in the proportion that you are aware. Awareness is the difference between death and life. You are not alive just because you are breathing or because your heart is beating. Physiologically, you can be kept alive in a hospital for years without any consciousness. But that is not life. That is just vegetating. Buddhas say you are alive only if you are awake. Except for the awakened ones, everyone is a walking corpse, a robot. Become more wakeful and you will become more alive. Life is the goal, and awareness is the methodology. If you are enjoying this journey into the self, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who is struggling with their thoughts. Your comment below helps us reach more people who are seeking silence in this noisy world. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next steps together. Every like and every share is an act of love that spreads these teachings further. You function in sleep, that's why you go on stumbling. You go on doing things you don't want to do, things you have decided not to do. How is this possible? Why can't you walk straight? Why do you go on going astray? Because you don't have any clarity. You don't have any perceptiveness. You certainly have ears, but there is nobody inside to understand. You have eyes, but there is nobody present inside to see. Everything is so confused. Drop the idea that you are already aware. Dropping it is a great leap, because once you drop that illusion, you will start seeking ways to be aware. Modern psychology has discovered the unconscious, the subconscious, and the collective unconscious. These are significant discoveries, but they are still intellectual. Freud went into the depths, and Sri Aurobindo tried to penetrate into the heights. But above our so-called conscious mind is the real conscious mind, and that is attained only through meditation. When your ordinary mind is plus meditation, it becomes the real conscious mind. Beyond that is the superconscious, which is samadhi. And even beyond that is the cosmic superconscious, which Buddha calls nirvana. You are living in a small corner of your being, the tiny so-called conscious mind. It is as if you have a palace, but you have forgotten about it and started living on the porch, thinking this is all there is. It feels good to deny your own heights, because your ego doesn't want to accept that there is anything higher than it. But the fool sleeps as if he were already dead. Awareness is eternal. It knows no death. Only unawareness dies. If you want to get rid of the misery of being born and dying again and again, you will have to become absolutely alert. The only thing that has to be learned is watchfulness. Watch every act that you do. Watch every thought that passes in your mind. Watch every desire that takes possession of you. Even small gestures, walking, talking, eating, taking a bath, let everything become an opportunity to watch. Don't eat mechanically. chew well and watchfully, and you will be surprised how much you have been missing. Each bite will give you tremendous satisfaction. Smell the breeze, feel the sun rays, look at the moon, and become a silent pool of watchfulness. Again and again you will forget. Do not become miserable because of that. It is natural. For millions of lives, you have never tried watchfulness. So it is simple that you forget. But the moment you remember, watch again. Do not repent. Do not feel like a sinner, because that is just another way of wasting time. Live in the moment. If you had forgotten, so what? Now you remember. Even a few moments of watchfulness are a great achievement. As you watch, a clarity arises. Why? Because the more watchful you become, the more your hastiness slows down. You become more graceful. Your chattering mind chatters less, because the energy that was feeding the chatter is now turning into watchfulness. It is the same energy. Thoughts will start becoming thinner, and slowly they will start dying. And as thoughts die, your mind becomes a mirror. Confusion is the root cause of misery. Clarity is the foundation of bliss. Transformation happens only when you put your total energy into it. You cannot be lukewarm. Lukewarm water cannot evaporate. You have to boil at 100 degrees to undergo the alchemical change. Unconsciousness goes downward and outward, interested in others and things. Consciousness goes upward and inward, taking you deeper into your own being. And the deeper you go, the higher you reach, just like a tree. If a tree wants to touch the sky, its roots must go to the very bottom. Misery is a state of unconsciousness. We are miserable because we are not aware of what we are doing, thinking, or feeling. We are continuously contradicting ourselves. Action goes in one direction, thinking in another, feeling somewhere else. We are fragmented, centerless, and a life that is not harmonious is going to be tragic. Religions have often functioned as opium, giving you painkillers to make the suffering tolerable. They are competitors with drugs because they both sell unconsciousness. But my effort is to take you beyond suffering. There is a possibility to be totally free, but the path is a challenge. You have to become aware of your body. Buddha was once giving a discourse, and a king was sitting there moving his big toe. Buddha stopped and looked at the toe. The king stopped. When Buddha started again, the toe started again. Buddha asked him why. The king said, I only became aware when you looked at it. Buddha said, this is your toe and you are not conscious. Then you could even murder someone and not be conscious. And this is true. People in rage commit crimes in temporary madness and then truly forget they were possessed by their own unconsciousness. The first step is to be watchful of your body. Slowly, as you become alert of each movement, a miracle happens. Many things you used to do simply disappear. Your body becomes more relaxed and attuned. Then start becoming aware of your thoughts. They are more subtle and dangerous. If you write down everything that goes on in your head for 10 minutes without editing, you will see a mad mind. We are not aware of this undercurrent of madness that affects everything we do. But the miracle of awareness is that you need not do anything except watch. The very phenomenon of watching it changes it. Slowly the madman disappears. When body and mind are at peace, they become attuned to each other. There is a bridge. For the first time, there is a card, and that helps you with the third step, becoming aware of your feelings, emotions, and moods. This is the subtlest layer. But if you can watch your thoughts, you can watch your moods. Once you are aware of all three, body, mind, and heart, they join into one orchestra. And then the fourth happens, which is a gift. The fourth is the ultimate awareness, where you become aware of your awareness itself. This is what makes one a Buddha. The body knows pleasure, the mind happiness, the heart joy, but the fourth knows bliss. Heraclitus said that men are as forgetful in their waking moments as they are in their sleep. You look wide awake, but it is only an appearance. Even right now, 1,000 thoughts are running through you, and you are not conscious of who you are. You move as a somnambulist. You fall in love, and you don't know why. You get angry, and you don't know why. You find excuses and rationalizations. But rationalization is not awareness. Awareness means being present in the moment with complete consciousness. If you are present when anger is happening, anger cannot happen. It can only happen when you are fast asleep. There is only one sin, and that is unawareness. The word sin means to miss. It means to be absent. To do something without being present is the only sin. And the only virtue, to be there, to be alert, mindful, self-remembering. You have been trying to change yourself for years. You decided not to be angry, and yet you got angry again and then repented. Even your repentance is part of the sleep. More effort won't help, only alertness will. When you are aware, certain things are simply not possible. You cannot fall in love if you are aware. You can love, but it will be a rise, not a fall. Falling in love is a dream state, an intoxication. People who rise in love are mature. They face reality and grow through it. Love becomes a state of being, not a relationship. You are love. You don't possess, and you don't allow yourself to be possessed. Love should give wings, not create a prison. But you only know the love that is a sin because it comes out of sleep. Even your doing good can be harmful if it is done in sleep. Do-gooders often end up possessing the ones they help. Anything that tries to dominate another is irreligious. The mind is always in the past or the future. It cannot be in the present. Mind means thinking, and thinking needs space. You can think about what happened or what might happen, but in the present there is no space for the mind to move. The present is just a dividing line. When you are truly in the present, the mind is no more. You see a sunrise and say, "How beautiful." But the moment you say it, it is already the past. To be with the rising sun, you cannot think. You and the sun become one, because there is no space for two. In a deep presence, the observer becomes the observed. Boundaries are lost. If you start thinking, you become two again. When you exist without thinking, you are for the first time spiritual. Awareness means being in the moment so totally that all movement toward past and future stops. But a new movement starts, a movement in depth. Linear movement is horizontal. It is the movement of time and sleep. Vertical movement is in depth and height. It is the movement of eternity and awareness. On the horizontal line, you move because of motivation. You want to achieve something, money, power, or even God. A motivated movement is sleep. An unmotivated movement is awareness. You move because movement is sheer joy. Energy is delight. There is no goal outside the movement itself. A Buddha lives with this unmotivated movement. I help people in meditation not for a goal, but because I enjoy seeing someone flower. If you flower, I share the delight. If you don't, that too is okay. Flowering cannot be forced. Be in the moment. Don't allow the past to interfere. Let the dead bury their dead. Why do you go on chewing the past? It is just a memory. And the future is not yet. What can you plan about it? Existence has its own plans, and it is wiser than you. By planning, you only miss the present, and this becomes a habit. When the future comes, it will be a present, but you will be busy planning for the next tomorrow. You will go on missing life forever. This is the only sin. Time is the world. Eternity is God. Both meet at a point here and now. From this point, you can go on two journeys, one into the future of the world, or one into the depth of God. Become more sensitive to the present. You will miss millions of times, but don't become guilty. If you feel guilty, you have started the old pattern again. Now you are thinking about the past, present, and feeling bad. Just come back. Whenever you realize you are gone, simply come back to your bath, your food, your walk. Come back innocently. Don't pay much attention to the fact that you missed. Pay attention to the fact that you regained remembrance. Feel happy about it. You have done the impossible. In 24 hours, you may miss 24,000 times, but if you regain awareness 24,000 times, a new dimension is breaking in. Suddenly one day, the horizontal will disappear. An intensity comes, and this illusory world of your own mind stuff vanishes. Maya disappears. The world you see around you is not the real world. It exists, but you see it through a screen of sleep. It is like a dream where even the impossible seems true. Once you doubt in a dream, the dream shatters. All Buddhas have laughed when they awakened. They laughed at the cosmic joke of projecting their own minds onto existence. All philosophies are just explanations to make you feel comfortable in your sleep. Philosophy is a tranquilizer. Religiousness is a shock. Religiousness takes away your utopias and brings you to the truth. 98% of the messages coming to you are blocked by your mind. You only hear what doesn't disturb your sleep. Even when a Buddha speaks, you interpret it so it fits your dreams. You move on the horizontal ground of logic, but I am trying to push you into the mystery. In the vertical abyss, all boundaries merge. Man is woman, life is death, dark is light, God is a mystery, not a syllogism. No proof can be given for God. You only know when the mind is not. God knocks at your door millions of times, but you are never home. You are always somewhere else. You are absent from the place where you are present. This is the sleep. If you are not present here and now, all doors are closed. You are a dead person. Your body is like an empty house because the master is always traveling in thoughts. Act and speak with awareness, and you will find a tremendous change. Control is a poor substitute for awareness. If you are aware, you don't need to control anger, because in awareness, anger never arises. They cannot coexist. Acts do not matter. Your being conscious is what matters. When the light is in the house, darkness cannot exist. Anger and jealousy are just stumbling in the dark. When you are aware, you can use everything. Even poison becomes an elixir. But when you are asleep, even an elixir becomes poison. There was a thief who became a disciple of Nagarjuna. The master said, "Go and steal, but do it with full awareness." After 3 weeks, the thief came back and said, "You are tricky. If I am aware, I cannot steal. When I become aware, diamonds look like ordinary stones." Once you have known awareness, nothing else is worth it. You have known the greatest bliss. Dreams are private. Nobody can enter yours. But truth is not private. Truth is an open sky, one for all. Consciousness has no private world. Renounce your private dreaming world. That is the only sannyas I require. You don't need to go to the Himalayas. If you don't renounce the mind, you will just be asleep in the Himalayas too. Drop dreaming and all miseries disappear. When you are awake, you see death all around. That is why you prefer to dream, to avoid the fact of death. But a man becomes religious only when he encounters death face to face. The deeper you move into death, the deeper you move into life, because they are one. If you escape death, you look dead. Encounter death, and you become alive. This was the cross of Jesus, the crisis of dying to the horizontal and resurrecting into the vertical. Die to time to be born in eternity. Die to thinking to be born in awareness. Whatsoever you are doing, be aware of yourself doing it. This constant self-remembering creates a subtle energy, a crystallization. Ordinarily, you are just a loose bag of many things without a center. Awareness makes you a master, not a controller, but a presence. This feeling that you are creates a stillness. This is the fire of awareness. When this fire is there, many things that dominated you just dissolve. You don't have to fight them because you are no longer weak. Anger, greed, and sex are not the problems. Your internal weakness is. Once you are crystallized, a self is born. Not an ego, but a self. Ego is a false sense of self. It is believing you have a center when you don't. A seeker must first realize that he is not yet a self. Only when you feel your absence can the ego evaporate. A real center is created by being continuously aware in every moment, sitting, sleeping, falling. Then everything is related to a center. We only feel centered in danger. When someone is about to kill you, you cannot think. You become aware of yourself in that solid moment. That is why speed and dangerous games have appeal. But it must not be just situational. It must be inner. Eugene Herrigal learned archery for 3 years, but the Zen master was not interested in his 100% accuracy. He said, "I am concerned with you. When the arrow leaves the bow, you must be double-arrowed, pointing toward the target and toward yourself." This center is what I call the witness. To be double-arrowed means to be aware of the object and the subject simultaneously. Usually, you are only aware of the object. You see a flower and you are possessed by the flower. You forget yourself. You see a beautiful woman or a handsome man and you are gone. You are no longer there. Only the object exists in your consciousness. This is a state of lopsidedness. The arrow is pointing only one way. To be double-arrowed means that while you are looking at the flower, you are also aware of the one who is looking. A small part of your consciousness remains at the center, watching the watcher. This is the beginning of the journey toward the ultimate. This witness is not an analyst. You must understand the difference clearly because the mind is very clever. It can shift from being a thinker to being an analyst and tell you that it has become a witness. But an analyst is still part of the mind, and the mind is always horizontal. Analysis means you are trying to find the why of things. You are angry and you start analyzing, why am I angry? Is it because my father treated me badly when I was a child? Is it because my boss insulted me? This why leads you into the past. It takes you away from the present moment. Analysis is a process of the mind. It is like peeling an onion. You peel one layer and another layer is there. You can go on peeling for lives and you will never reach the core, because the core of the mind is nothingness. The witness, on the other hand, is only interested in what. It doesn't ask why. It simply looks at the anger. It doesn't try to explain it. It doesn't try to justify it. It doesn't try to change it. It just looks at it as if it were a cloud passing in the sky. If you can look at your anger without any judgment, without any analysis, without any desire to get rid of it, then a miracle happens. The energy that was being used by the anger is suddenly released. It returns to the center. Anger is a fire, and if you don't feed it with your identification, it dies out. When you analyze, you are still identified. You are still saying, I am angry because. But when you witness, you are saying, anger is there and I am here watching it. The I and the anger are separate. This separation is the beginning of freedom. The mind loves analysis because analysis is a way to keep the mind alive. As long as you are analyzing, the mind remains the master. It keeps you busy. It keeps you in the horizontal line of time. It tells you, if I can just find the cause of my overthinking, I will be free. But the search for the cause is itself overthinking. You are trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. You are trying to stop thinking by thinking about thinking. This is the trap. You must learn to step out of the circle. Stepping out of the circle means shifting from the mind to the non-mind, from the analyst to the witness. Think of your mind as a busy traffic intersection. There are cars, trucks, and buses moving in all directions. If you are in the middle of the intersection, you are in danger. You are confused. You are hit by this thought and that emotion. You are constantly trying to manage the traffic, but the traffic is too much. Analysis is like trying to go to each driver and ask him where he is going and why. It just creates more congestion. Witnessing is like moving to the side of the road, or even better, to the top of a hill and just watching the traffic from a distance. From the hilltop, the traffic doesn't bother you. It is just a movement. You are no longer part of it. You are the observer. This distance is what is needed If you are too close to your thoughts, you cannot see them, you become them. When a thought of sadness comes, you become sad. When a thought of joy comes, you become joyful. You are like a mirror that thinks it has become the object it is reflecting. If the mirror reflects a flower, it thinks I am a flower. If it reflects a heap of rubbish, it thinks I am rubbish. But the mirror is neither the flower nor the rubbish. It is just a mirror. Its nature is to reflect, not to become. Your consciousness is that mirror. Awareness is the realization that I am the mirror and the thoughts are just reflections. Reflections come and go, they are temporary. The mirror remains, it is eternal. It is always pure, always untouched. You ask how to stop overthinking. I say, why do you want to stop it? The very desire to stop it is another thought. It is the ego trying to be spiritual, trying to be peaceful. If you try to stop the mind will become more stubborn. It is like trying to settle waves in a pond by hitting them with your hands. You will only create more waves. If you want the pond to be still, you just sit on the bank and wait. You do nothing. You simply watch. Eventually, the waves will settle by themselves because they are not your nature. They are just a temporary disturbance caused by the wind of desire. When the wind stops, the waves stop. And how does the wind stop? It stops when you are no longer interested in the objects of desire, when you are content to just be. Most of your overthinking is about the future, about what might happen, about how you will cope, about your security. But security is the greatest myth. There is no security in life. Life is inherently insecure. The only thing that is certain is death. Everything else is a gamble. But the mind cannot accept this. The mind wants certainty. It wants a guarantee. So it goes on projecting, planning, and worrying. It builds 1,000 bridges over rivers that don't exist. This is the exhaustion you feel. You are carrying the weight of a future that hasn't arrived and the weight of a past that is already dead. No wonder you feel crushed. Drop the luggage. To drop the luggage, you don't need to do anything. You just have to see that it is luggage and that you are the one carrying it. Awareness is the sight. In the moment you truly see that your thoughts are just empty clouds, they lose their power over you. They may still come. The traffic on the road may still continue, but you are on the hilltop. You are at the center of the cyclone. The cyclone can be very intense, but at the very center there is absolute stillness. The cyclone cannot exist without that silent center, but it cannot touch it either. You are that center. You have lived your whole life on the periphery. On the periphery, there is constant movement, constant friction. On the periphery, you are a doing. You are a husband, a father, an engineer, a citizen. All these are roles. They are part of the cyclone. But deep inside, you are a being. Being has no role, it just is. It is pure existence. When you move toward the center, you move toward your being. And as you get closer to the center, the overthinking begins to fade. Not because you have solved your problems, but because from the center, the problems look small, insignificant, almost like toys. One of the basic tensions in man is the tension between what he is and what he wants to be. The mind is always trying to bridge this gap. It says, I am this, but I should be that. This should is the root of all misery. It is the root of overthinking. You are constantly judging yourself, comparing yourself to an ideal, to a neighbor, to a saint. This comparison creates a split in your being. You become a house divided against itself, and a house divided cannot stand. Awareness means accepting what is without any should. If you are angry, you are angry. Accept it. If you are sad, you are sad. Accept it. Don't try to be happy when you are sad, because that will only create a new tension. The fake happiness will be on the surface, and the real sadness will be suppressed in the basement. This suppression is what creates the constant noise in your head. The mind is like a pressure cooker. If you keep suppressing your emotions and your authentic self, the pressure will build up. And the mind will go on chattering as a way to release some of that pressure. Overthinking is just the steam coming out of the valve. If you want the steam to stop, you have to turn off the heat. And the heat is your judgment, your constant shoulds, your constant effort to be someone else. When you accept yourself as you are, the heat is gone, the pressure disappears. For the first time, there is a silence that is not forced, a peace that is not the result of a technique. It is the peace of your own home. You have been a wanderer for too long. You have been looking for peace in books, in temples, in relationships, but you are looking in the wrong direction. You are looking outward. Peace is not an object that you can find. It is a quality of your own being. When you are centered, When you are aware, you are at home. And when you are at home, the mind is no longer a master. It becomes a servant, a beautiful servant. The mind is a wonderful tool for communication, for calculation, for navigating the physical world, but it should not be the one who decides who you are. It should not be the one who occupies your whole space. Imagine a house where the servants have taken over and the master is locked in the basement. The servants are fighting, they are making a mess, they are throwing parties, and the house is in chaos. This is the state of the average human being. The mind, which is a servant, has become the master. And it is a very poor master because it is blind. It only knows the past. It has no eyes for the present. Meditation, awareness, is the process of the master coming out of the basement and taking his rightful place. The moment the master appears, the servants fall silent. They return to their work. There is no need to fight them. Your mere presence is enough. Your awareness is your presence. Most of the time, you are absent. You are there physically, but your consciousness is wandering in some distant dream. This absence is what allows the mind to run wild. If you are not in the house, the servants will do whatever they want. But if you are present, if you are alert, if you are watchful, the mind cannot dominate you. It loses its grip. People often ask me, how can I be aware all the time? It seems so difficult. It is difficult only because you have made it into a task, into a duty. If you think of awareness as a burden, you will never be able to do it. But if you think of awareness as a joy, as a way to experience life more deeply, it becomes easy. Don't try to be aware for 24 hours a day. Start with small moments. When you are drinking tea, just drink tea. Feel the warmth of the cup, the aroma of the leaves, the taste of the liquid as it goes down your throat. In that moment, there is no past, no future, no overthinking. There is only the tea and the awareness of it. This is meditation. Meditation is not something you do for 20 minutes in the morning and then forget. Meditation is a quality that you bring to everything you do. It is a way of living. If you can wash the dishes with awareness, that is as spiritual as any prayer. If you can walk to the bus stop with awareness, you are a meditator. The object doesn't matter. The quality of your consciousness is what matters. When you are aware, you are connected to the source. And when you are connected to the source, energy flows through you. You don't feel tired. Overthinking is a drain on your energy. It is like leaving all the lights in your house on when you don't need them. Awareness is the switch that turns off the unnecessary lights. It saves your energy for the things that really matter, for love, for creativity, for celebration. Life is a celebration. But you cannot celebrate if you are constantly lost in thought. To celebrate, you have to be here. You have to be available to the beauty that is happening right now. The flowers are blooming. The birds are singing. The wind is whispering through the trees. But you are busy thinking about your bank account or your next promotion. You are missing the only life there is. You are living in a ghost world of your own making. Awareness is the sword that cuts through the ghosts and brings you back to reality. Reality is always simple. It is the mind that is complex. The mind creates problems where there are none. It is like the story of the centipede. The centipede was walking along quite happily with its 100 legs, perfectly coordinated. A frog who was an intellectual saw the centipede and was amazed. He thought, how does he do it? How does he know which leg to move first? And then which one next? And how does he keep from tripping over himself? The frog stopped the centipede and asked, Sir, I am a scientist and I am baffled. Please tell me your methods. How do you manage 100 legs with such grace? The centipede had never thought about it. He stood still for a moment, trying to figure out how he moved his legs. He started thinking, is it leg number 1 first or leg number 72? And in that moment of thinking, he became paralyzed. He fell over, unable to move a single leg. He told the frog, please, don't ever ask another centipede that question. I was doing fine until you made me think about it. This is what has happened to you. Life was moving beautifully, but you started thinking about it. You started analyzing it. You started trying to control it. And now you are stuck. You are paralyzed by your own thoughts. You have lost your spontaneity. You have lost your grace. To regain that grace, you have to drop the frog, the analytical mind. You have to return to the innocence of the centipede. This doesn't mean you become stupid. On the contrary, you become truly intelligent. Intellect is of the mind, intelligence is of the being. Intellect is about knowledge, about information, about memory. Intelligence is about clarity, about perception, about response. A man of intellect has all the answers, but he doesn't know the questions. A man of intelligence may not have any answers, but he has the eyes to see the truth as it is. He doesn't need a map because he is in touch with the territory. When you overthink, you are relying on your intellect to solve the mysteries of life. But the intellect is too small for life. It is like trying to catch the ocean in a bucket. You will only get a little bit of water, and that water will not be the ocean. It will be stagnant, dead water. The ocean is the movement, the vastness, the depth. To know the ocean, you have to jump into it. You have to become one with it. Awareness is the jump. Let go of your buckets. Let go of your small certainties. Be brave enough to be uncertain. Be brave enough to not know. There is a great beauty in not knowing. When you don't know, you are open. When you think you know, you are closed. The mind is a closed box. Awareness is the open sky. In the open sky, there are no boundaries, no limitations. You can fly as high as you want, but you are afraid of the height. You are afraid of the vastness. You feel safer in your small box of thoughts, even if it is a box of misery. At least it is familiar. You have become comfortable with your pain. You have become identified with your problems. If someone could take away all your problems right now, you would feel empty. You wouldn't know who you are. Your ego is built out of your struggles, your achievements, and your miseries. To be aware means to be willing to let the ego die. It means to be willing to be a nobody. Are you ready to be a nobody? If you are, then overthinking will disappear instantly. Because who is there to think? The nobody has no past and no future. The nobody is just a presence, a silence. In that silence, there is a deep relaxation. This relaxation is the soil in which the flower of consciousness grows. You cannot force the flower to bloom. You can only prepare the soil. You can remove the stones of judgment, the weeds of desire, and the hard crust of ego. Then, when the time is right, the flower will bloom of its own accord. Tension is a state of the mind. Relaxation is a state of the heart. When you are in the mind, you are always tense. Even when you think you are relaxing, you are tense. You go on vacation, but you take your mind with you. You sit on the beach, but you are thinking about the office. This is not relaxation. True relaxation only happens when you are centered. When you are at the center, the whole world can be in chaos, but you are at peace. This peace is not the peace of the graveyard. It is a vibrant, living peace. It is the peace of a dancer in the middle of a fast movement. It is the peace of a singer in the middle of a high note. It is an active silence. This is what you need to discover. This is the goal of all meditation. Don't be discouraged by your failures. Every time you catch yourself overthinking, smile. Don't get angry at yourself. Just smile and say, aha, there goes the mind again. That smile is a sign of awareness. It shows that you have distanced yourself from the thoughts. You are now the observer of the mind. And the more you can smile at your mind, the less power it will have over you. Treat your mind like a naughty child. Don't fight it, but don't take it too seriously either. Just watch it play its games and stay centered in your own being. Remember, you are not the mind. You are the one who is aware of the mind. This simple truth can transform your life if you allow it to sink deep into your heart. You are the sky, and the thoughts are just clouds. The clouds may be dark, they may be heavy with rain, they may even hide the sun for a while, but they cannot stain the sky. They cannot change the nature of the sky. The sky is always there, infinite, pure, and free. Live in that sky. Be the sky. Stop trying to manage the clouds. Let them come, let them go. They are not your business. Your business is to remain the sky. This is the secret of a balanced life. This is the key to awareness. When you have this key, all the doors of existence are open to you. You are no longer a prisoner of your own thoughts. You are a free being, dancing in the light of truth. The journey starts here, now. Not tomorrow, not in the next life, right now, in this very moment. Be present, be aware, and feel the joy of just being alive, without any reason, without any cause. This uncaused joy is your birthright. Don't trade it for a handful of thoughts. Don't trade it for the illusions of the ego. Claim your inheritance. Wake up and live. When I say wake up, I am not talking about a physical waking up. I am talking about a shift in your internal orientation. Ordinarily, your energy is flowing outwards through the senses into the world. You are looking at things, hearing sounds, touching objects. This outward flow is necessary for survival, but it is not enough for life. To truly live, a part of your energy must flow inwards, toward the source. In the East, we have the concept of the third eye. It is not a physical eye, but a metaphor for inner vision. When your two physical eyes are open, you see the world of duality, the world of man and woman, light and dark, good and evil. When your third eye opens, you see the world of oneness. You see that all these opposites are just two sides of the same coin. You see the underlying unity of existence. This vision is the result of awareness. Overthinking is a byproduct of the dualistic mind. The mind can only function in pairs. It cannot understand oneness. It needs a subject and an object, a lover and a beloved, a problem and a solution. But reality is non-dual. It is a single, seamless whole. When you are in awareness, you transcend duality. You move beyond the this and that. You enter the realm of the is. And in that realm, there is no place for overthinking, because there is nothing to compare, nothing to judge, nothing to decide. Everything simply is. This state is called Tathata by the Buddha, suchness. It means accepting everything as it is. If it rains, it is good. If the sun shines, it is good. If you are successful, it is good. If you fail, it is good. This total acceptance is the end of all conflict. And where there is no conflict, there is no noise. The mind becomes silent, not because it has been forced, but because it has nothing left to say. It has reached its limit. This silence is the most beautiful thing in the world. It is a silence that is full of music. It is a silence that is full of light. It is the silence of the divine. And it is your own silence, waiting for you at the center of your being. All you have to do is turn around. Stop looking for answers in the outside world. The answer is not there. The answer is the one who is looking. Be the witness of your own life. Watch your body as it moves. Watch your mind as it thinks. Watch your heart as it feels. Don't interfere. Don't judge. Just watch. This simple act of watching will dissolve all your illusions. It will burn away all your miseries. It will leave you with the pure, naked truth of your own being. And that truth is bliss. That truth is freedom. Don't wait for a better time to start. There is no better time than now. Every moment is a doorway to the eternal. Every breath is an opportunity to wake up. Take the leap. Jump out of the mind and into the heart. Jump out of thinking and into being. You have nothing to lose but your chains, and you have a whole world of bliss to gain. Be silent and know, not through words, but through experience. Let these words be just a pointer, a finger pointing at the moon. Don't get stuck with the finger. Look at the moon. The moon is your own consciousness, shining in the dark night of the mind. Follow the light, and it will lead you home. Home is where you are when you are not lost in thought. Home is the space of awareness. It is the place where you can finally rest. You have been running for so long and you are so tired. Come home. The doors are open. The Master is waiting. All you have to do is be here. Just be. This just being is the ultimate flowering of man. It is what makes a human being a Buddha, a Christ, a Krishna. They were not special people. They were just people who woke up. They were people who stopped dreaming and started seeing. And what they saw is available to you too, because it is the same reality. There is only one reality, but there are many dreams. Drop the dreams, and the reality is there in all its glory. Live your life as a meditation. Let awareness be the thread that runs through everything you do, whether you are eating, working, sleeping, or loving. Be there. Be total. Don't do anything half-heartedly. If you are angry, be totally angry. Don't hold back. If you are totally angry, the anger will soon burn itself out. But if you are only partially angry, the rest will stay in your system and become overthinking. Totality is the key to transformation. When you are total, there is no you. The ego can only exist in fragments. When you are whole, the ego disappears. And when the ego disappears, God is. Not a God in the sky, but the God that is the very life force of existence. You are a part of that force. You are a wave in that ocean. Realize your oneness with the whole, and all your worries will vanish like mist in the morning sun. Be a light unto yourself. Don't follow anyone else's path, because their path is not yours. Find your own truth through your own awareness. I am only here to encourage you, to challenge you, to shake you. But the walking has to be done by you. No one can eat for you. No one can sleep for you. And no one can wake up for you. It is your journey, and it is a beautiful one. Enjoy every step of it. Even the moments of confusion, even the moments of overthinking are part of the journey. Don't reject them. Use them as fuel for your awareness. Every time you lose your way, you have the opportunity to find it again with more clarity. Every time you fall, you can get up with more strength. Life is a school, and awareness is the lesson. Be patient with yourself. Growth takes time. You cannot rush the seasons, but you can be ready. You can be alert. You can be open. And when the spring comes, you will burst into bloom. You will become a fragrance that fills the world. You will become a psalm that never ends. This is my message for you today. Don't just hear it, live it. Let it become a part of your blood, your bones, your very marrow. Awareness is the only treasure that you can take with you when you die. Everything else will be left behind. Your money, your house, your reputation, all will vanish. But your awareness is eternal. It is the only thing that is truly yours. Invest in your awareness. Spend more time in silence. Spend more time with yourself. Get to know the one who lives inside your body. It is the most fascinating person you will ever meet. And once you know that person, you will never be lonely again. You will be alone, but not lonely. Aloneness is a state of being whole. Loneliness is a state of feeling empty. Awareness turns loneliness into aloneness, and in that aloneness, you find the whole universe. The path of awareness is the path of the warrior. It is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage to face your own darkness. to face your own madness. But on the other side of the darkness, there is light. On the other side of the madness, there is sanity. And that sanity is not the sanity of the society, which is just a masked insanity. It is the sanity of the Buddhas, a sanity that is rooted in truth and love. Go deep into yourself. Don't be afraid. You are not a stranger to yourself. You have just forgotten who you are. Meditation is a way of remembering. It is a way of returning to the source. And the source is always there, waiting for you with open arms. Live with awareness, love with awareness, and one day you will die with awareness. And if you can die with awareness, you have conquered death. You have entered the realm of the undying. This is the ultimate goal of human life. This is the reason you are here. Don't waste another moment in the horizontal world of overthinking. Turn the key, open the door, step into the vertical world of the now, the world of reality, the world of truth, the world of bliss. It is all here, waiting for you. Be the master of your mind, not its slave. Be the witness of your thoughts, not their victim. Be the light of your own life, and let that light shine for all the world to see. I see the potential in you. I see the seed of a Buddha in you. Don't let it wither away in the dry soil of overthinking. Water it with your awareness. Nurture it with your love, and watch it grow into a magnificent tree that offers shade and fruit to everyone who passes by. This is your destiny. This is your potential. Realize it and be free. Listen to me carefully, because this is the very crux of the matter. You have been told for centuries that to be a good person, you must have a character. You have been taught to cultivate virtues, to follow a code of conduct, to be predictable, and to be what the society calls reliable. But I tell you, a man of character is a dead man. He is a machine that follows a blueprint. He does not respond to the living moment. He reacts according to his past training. If you insult him, he has a pre-programmed response. If you praise him, he has another. He is like a record player. You push a button and the song starts. This is not awareness. This is just a very sophisticated form of sleep. A man of awareness has no character. He is characterless, not in the sense of being immoral, but in the sense of being unpredictable, spontaneous, and fresh. He has no blueprint. He does not know what he will do in the next moment until that moment actually arrives. He trusts his consciousness, not his memory. His response is not a reaction, it is a total, fresh flowering of the present. Because he is awake, he can see the reality of the situation as it is, and his response comes from that clarity. A man of character is like a train on tracks. He can only go where the tracks lead. A man of awareness is like a bird in the sky. He leaves no footprints behind. This fear of being without character is really the fear of being free. Freedom is dangerous. Freedom means you are responsible for every single breath. You cannot blame your parents, your society, or your upbringing. You are standing alone in the vastness of existence. Most people prefer the prison of character because it is safe. In a prison, everything is provided. The walls protect you, but those walls also prevent you from seeing the sun. Awareness is the courage to pull down those walls and step into the unknown. You often feel that you are one person, but if you watch yourself closely, you will see that you are a crowd. You are a different person with your boss, another with your wife, and yet another with your children. You are a collection of fragments, and each fragment has its own desires, its own thoughts, and its own fears. There is no center. You are like a carriage with many horses, and every horse is pulling in a different direction. This is why you feel so much internal conflict and overthinking. One part of you wants to be a saint, another wants to be a millionaire, and another just wants to sleep. Awareness is the process of creating a center. When you start witnessing your thoughts and your actions, a subtle integration begins to happen. You start to see the connections between these fragments. You start to see the source of all these voices. And as the witness grows stronger, the crowd begins to disappear. The many become one. For the first time, you have an I, not the ego I, which is just another fragment, but the real I, the silent center that is always present. This center is not a thing, it is a quality of being. One of the greatest roots of your suffering is the habit of postponing life. You are always waiting for something to happen before you can be happy. You think, when I get that job, when I get married, when I retire, then I will be at peace. But then never comes. Life is only now. By waiting for the future, you are missing the only reality there is. This postponement is a trick of the mind to keep you from facing the emptiness of your current state of sleep. Awareness brings you back to the present. It tells you that there is nothing to wait for. You are already at the destination. You just haven't opened your eyes yet. Look at the trees. Do they wait for the right moment to bloom? No. They bloom when the energy is there. Look at the rivers. Do they wait for a map to find the ocean? No. They simply flow, and the flow takes them there. Your life is also a flow, but you have blocked it with your why and your how. You are so concerned with the mechanics of life that you have forgotten to live. You are like a man who is so busy studying a map of the city that he never actually goes out to see the streets. The mind is a collector. It collects information, memories, and grudges. It is always looking for something to add to its collection. But the heart is a giver. The heart knows only the present. To move from the mind to the heart is the greatest revolution a human being can undergo. It is the move from having to being. You think that by thinking more, you will have more clarity. But the opposite is true. The more you think, the more dust you collect on the mirror of your consciousness. To see clearly, you don't need more thoughts. You need to wipe away the ones you already have. When you are in a state of overthinking, you are essentially trying to figure out life. But life is not a riddle to be solved. It is a mystery to be lived. A riddle has an answer, and once you find the answer, the riddle is gone. But a mystery has no answer. The more you enter into it, the more mysterious it becomes. The more you know, the more you realize how much you do not know. This not knowing is not ignorance. It is the highest form of intelligence. It is the state of a child, full of wonder and awe. The analyst tries to turn the mystery into a riddle. He wants to categorize everything, to label it, to put it in a box. But when you label something, you kill it. When you call a flower a rose, you stop seeing the living, breathing reality of that particular flower. You see the word, the category, but you miss the existence. Awareness is the ability to see without labels. It is the ability to look at a tree and not even call it a tree. To just be with that greenness, that strength, that silence. When the label is gone, the distance between you and the object disappears. You become the tree becomes you. This is the experience of oneness. You are afraid of this oneness because it means the end of your ego. The ego can only exist in separation. It needs the other to define itself. It says, I am rich because he is poor. I am smart because he is stupid. I am spiritual because he is worldly. If there is no other, the ego evaporates. Awareness is the death of the ego and the birth of the soul. It is a terrifying process for the mind, but it is the most liberating experience for the being. People come to me and ask for a method to stop their thoughts. But any method you use will be part of the mind. If you use a mantra to silence the mind, you are just replacing many thoughts with one thought. It may be a holy thought, but it is still a thought. It is like replacing a noisy crowd with a single person who keeps shouting silence. It is still noise. True silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of the ego. When you are not, the silence is. Don't try to be silent. Just see that you are the one who is creating the noise. See how your mind constantly creates problems so that it can feel important. If there are no problems, the mind has no work to do. And if the mind has no work, it begins to feel like it is dying. So it goes on manufacturing anxieties, fears, and dilemmas. It is a self-perpetuating machine. To stop the machine, you don't need to fight it. You just have to stop feeding it with your attention. Your attention is your food. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your life to. If you give your attention to your worries, you make them real. If you give your attention to your awareness, the worries will naturally starve. It is a simple law of energy. But you have been trained to pay attention to the negative, to the problematic, to the wrong. This is the heritage of a repressive society. You have been taught to be a troubleshooter, but in the process, you have become a troublemaker for yourself. Start paying attention to the gaps between your thoughts. Those gaps are the windows to the eternal. Usually you are so focused on the thoughts that you don't see the silence that exists between them. It is like looking at the words on a page and missing the white paper. Without the white paper, the words cannot exist. Without the silence, the thoughts cannot be heard. Focus on the silence, and the thoughts will slowly recede into the background. This is the meaning of meditation. It is not an act, it is an undoing. It is a letting go. You have been told to concentrate, but concentration is a narrowing of the mind. It is a tension. Meditation is the opposite of concentration. It is expansion. It is opening all the doors and windows and letting the whole universe in. In concentration, you are the master. In meditation, you are the servant of existence. You allow yourself to be possessed by the whole. This possession is bliss. It is the feeling of being carried by life. When you are overthinking, you are trying to swim against the current. You are exhausted because you are fighting the river of existence. Awareness is the act of turning around and floating with the current. The river knows where the ocean is. You don't need to guide it, you just need to trust it. This trust is what I call sannyas. It is not the renunciation of the world, it is the renunciation of the ego's control. When you trust life, your overthinking stops automatically. Why would you need to think if you know that the whole is taking care of you? Thinking is a form of self-defense. It is the ego's attempt to protect itself from a world it perceives as hostile. But the world is not hostile. It is your mother. You are born of it. You live in it, and you will return to it. You are as much a part of the universe as the stars and the trees. You have been told that you are a sinner, that you are unworthy, that you have to earn your place in heaven. All these are lies designed to keep you in a state of constant anxiety and sleep. They are the tools of the priest and the politician to control you. A man who is happy and at peace cannot be controlled. A man who is aware is a rebel. And the society does not want rebels, it wants sheep. I want you to be rebels, not the kind of rebels who throw bombs, but the kind of rebels who shine their light in the darkness. To be a rebel means to be yourself. And to be yourself, you must first know yourself. This knowledge cannot come from a book or a teacher. It can only come from your own direct experience. It can only come from awareness. You are carrying so many shoulds in your head. I should be more productive. I should be more loving. I should be more successful. These shoulds are like stones in your pockets. They make you heavy. They make you slow. Drop them. There is no should. There is only is. If you are lazy, be totally lazy. If you are angry, be totally angry. Don't create a conflict by trying to be something else. In that totality, transformation happens. If you are totally lazy, you will soon get tired of being lazy, and energy will arise of its own accord. But if you fight your laziness, you will remain stuck in it forever. This is the great secret. What you resist persists. What you accept disappears. If you want to get rid of overthinking, accept it. Say, okay, the mind is chattering. Let it chatter. I am here watching it. The moment you stop resisting the noise, it no longer bothers you. It becomes like the sound of the wind or the sound of the rain. It is just another vibration in the atmosphere. And in that acceptance, the mind feels ignored. It loses its audience. And like any performer, once the audience leaves, the mind eventually stops its performance. Be a witness to your own resistance. Watch how you try to escape the present moment. Watch how you create fantasies to avoid reality. Watch how you cling to your misery because it gives you a sense of identity. This watching is the fire that purifies. It burns away the dross and leaves only the gold. Your mind is a beautiful instrument, but it has become a master. And as a master, it is a tyrant. It keeps you in a state of half-life. You are not truly alive, you are just surviving. Awareness is the bridge from survival to life. It is the bridge from the machine to the human, and from the human to the divine. Don't be afraid of the void. When the thoughts stop, there is a moment of emptiness. The mind calls it death because the mind cannot exist in that emptiness. But I tell you that emptiness is the womb of the divine. It is the space where the soul is born. In that silence, you will hear the still small voice of existence. You will know that you are not separate, that you have never been separate. You will know that you are home. Most of your overthinking is a way of filling the gap. You are afraid of the silence, so you fill it with noise. You are afraid of the emptiness, so you fill it with activities. But the silence is where the truth is. The emptiness is where the beauty is. Don't be afraid to be empty. Be like a hollow bamboo. When the wind passes through a hollow bamboo, it becomes music. But if the bamboo is full of stuff, there is no music. Empty yourself of your thoughts, your knowledge, your ego. Let yourself be a hollow flute for the divine to play through. This emptiness is not a negative state. It is a state of fullness. It is like a room that is empty of furniture but full of light. When your mind is empty of thoughts, your being is full of presence. This presence is the only thing that is real. Everything else is just a dream, a passing shadow. You have lived in the shadows for too long. You have lived in the cave of your own mind, looking at the reflections on the wall. Come out into the sunlight. The sunlight of awareness is waiting for you. It may be blinding at first, but it will heal your eyes. It will show you a world you never imagined, a world of infinite beauty, infinite love, and infinite joy. And remember, you don't have to do anything to get there. You just have to be. You just have to wake up. The bed is comfortable, the dream is interesting, but the morning has come. It is time to open your eyes. It is time to see the reality. People often ask, what is the meaning of life? I say, life has no meaning, and that is the beauty of it. If life had a meaning, it would be a commodity. It would be a task. It would be a means to an end. But life is an end in itself. It is a purposeless play of energy. It is what the Hindus call Leela. It is like a dance. What is the meaning of a dance? The meaning is the dance itself. You don't dance to reach a certain spot on the floor. You dance to enjoy the movement. Your life is a dance. But you have become so concerned with the steps that you have forgotten the music. You are so worried about doing it right that you have lost the joy of doing it at all. Awareness is the act of hearing the music again. When you hear the music, the steps take care of themselves. You don't need to think, you just need to flow. In this flow, there is no place for overthinking. The mind is silent because it is in tune with the whole. This is the state of no mind. It is not a state of being a vegetable. It is a state of being superconscious. It is the state where your intelligence is at its peak because it is no longer hampered by the past. You are responding to the now with your total being. This totality is the only holiness. Not going to a church, not reciting a scripture, not following a ritual. Being total in whatever you do is the only prayer. If you are washing the floor, be totally in the washing. If you are making love, be totally in the love. If you are walking, be totally in the walking. This totality creates a center, and that center is God. You are already that. You have always been that. You have just been distracted by the noise of the mind. You have been looking for the spectacles that are already on your nose. Stop looking. Just be silent and feel. Feel the heartbeat of the universe within your own chest. Feel the breath of the stars within your own lungs. You are not a stranger here. You are at home. The overthinking mind is like a turbulent ocean. On the surface, there are waves and foam and noise. But if you dive deep, there is a profound silence. The waves are only on the surface. They don't reach the depths. Your awareness is the depth. Your thoughts are the waves. Don't be afraid of the waves, but don't get lost in them either. Learn to dive. Learn to find the silence that is always there, beneath the noise. This silence is not something you can buy or sell. It is not something you can learn from someone else. It is your own inner space. It is your own sanctuary. No one can take it away from you, and no one can enter it without your permission. It is the only place where you are truly free. As you become more aware, you will notice that your relationships change. You will no longer try to possess the other, and you will no longer allow yourself to be possessed. You will love out of your abundance, not out of your needs. You will be like two pillars that support the same roof but stand apart. You will be together in your aloneness. Most people use relationships as a way to escape their own emptiness. They use the other as a distraction from their own overthinking. But two empty people cannot fill each other. They only double the emptiness. This is why most relationships are full of conflict and misery. Awareness allows you to be whole in yourself. And when you are whole, you can share your wholeness with another. Your love becomes a celebration, not a struggle. Everything in your life will be transformed by awareness. Your work will become a creative expression. Your body will become a temple, and your life will become a song of gratitude. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. You are no longer looking through the dark glasses of the mind. You are looking through the clear lens of consciousness. Don't take my words as a new philosophy. I don't want to give you more thoughts. I want to take away the ones you have. I want to leave you naked, vulnerable, and innocent, because only in that innocence can the truth be known. Only in that vulnerability can love be felt. Only in that nakedness can you meet the divine. Be courageous. The journey is long, and there will be many times when you want to turn back. There will be many times when the mind will try to pull you back into the old patterns of sleep. But keep going. Every moment of awareness is a victory. Every step toward the center is a homecoming. And don't worry about the goal. The journey itself is the goal. Every moment of being awake is a moment of heaven. Every moment of being asleep is a moment of hell. Heaven and hell are not places you go after death. They are states of consciousness you live in right now. Choose heaven. Choose awareness. Choose life. You have the power to transform your existence. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the creator of your own reality. If you are miserable, it is because you have chosen unconsciousness. If you are blissful, it is because you have chosen awareness. It is a simple choice, but it is the most important one you will ever make. Make the choice now. In this very moment, as you hear these words, let a part of you wake up. Let a spark of awareness be lit in your heart, and don't let it go out. Nurture it, protect it, and let it grow into a great fire that consumes everything that is false and leaves only that which is true. This is the end of overthinking. It is the end of the ego. It is the end of the dream. And it is the beginning of a life that is truly worth living. A life of beauty, a life of love, and a life of eternal celebration. Be silent for a few moments and just feel your own presence. Feel the I-am-ness that exists beyond your name, your job, and your history. That I-am-ness is your soul. It is your connection to the whole. Rest in it. Be at peace in it. You are home. My beloved friends, the world is in a great crisis today. Everywhere there is conflict, fear, and madness. And this is all because humanity is asleep. We have created a world that is a reflection of our own chaotic minds. The only way to save the world is for each individual to wake up. We don't need more politics. We don't need more technology. We don't need more religions. We need more awareness. When you become aware, you become a healing force in the world. Your silence becomes a perfume that others can smell. Your peace becomes a light that others can see. You don't need to do anything to change the world. You just have to be yourself. A single candle can light 1,000 others. A single awakened human being can transform the consciousness of the whole planet. Be that candle. Be that awakened being. Not for the sake of the world, but for your own sake. because in your awakening, you will find everything you have ever been looking for. You will find the love that never ends, the joy that never fades, and the truth that never changes. This is the invitation. This is the challenge. Are you ready to accept it? Are you ready to step out of the crowds and into your own unique existence? Are you ready to be free? If you are, then the journey has already begun, and I am with you every step of the way, not as a leader, but as a friend, not as a master, but as a fellow traveler. Let us walk together into the light. Listen to the silence of the night. Listen to the beating of your own heart. Listen to the voice of the winds. Everything is speaking to you, telling you the same thing: wake up, wake up, wake up. The dawn is here. The sun is rising. Don't miss it. Open your eyes and see the glory of existence. See the miracle of being alive. You are a part of it. You are it. Be blissful. Be aware. And be total. This is the whole of my teaching. This is the whole of the way. Everything I have said is just a finger pointing at the moon. Don't get lost in the words. Words are just symbols. Experience is the reality. Go beyond the words and find the experience for yourself. In that experience, there is no Osho, and there is no you. There is only the one, the eternal, the divine. And that is the ultimate freedom. That is the ultimate peace. That is the ultimate home. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. But most of all, thank you for being who you are. A beautiful, unique manifestation of the divine. Never forget your own dignity. Never forget your own potential. You are a God in the making. Wake up and claim your divinity. The mind will try to tell you that this is all too much, that you cannot do it, that it is only for special people. Don't believe it. The mind is a liar. It wants to keep its power over you. You are more than enough. You have everything you need. The treasure is within you. You just have to dig a little deeper. And don't be afraid of the effort. The effort is itself a joy when it is directed toward the truth. It is the effort of a sculptor who is bringing a beautiful statue out of a block of marble. Every chip of the hammer is a step toward the beauty. Every moment of awareness is a chip of the hammer on the marble of your ego. Eventually, the marble will be gone and only the beauty will remain. And you will wonder why it took you so long to start. You will laugh at your own fears and your own doubts. You will see that the goal was always here, right in front of you. Be silent now. Let the words settle in your heart. Don't think about them. Let them become a part of your being. Let them ferment within you. And one day they will become your own realization. I am leaving you now, but I am not going anywhere. I am in your heart. I am in your breath. I am in your silence. We are one. Now you must understand the mechanism of your habits. For overthinking is nothing but a habit that has become a deep rut in your consciousness. When I speak of the rut, I mean a groove that has been worn into your mind through years and years of repetition. It is like a cart moving on a dirt road. If it follows the same path every day, eventually the wheels create deep trenches. Then even if the driver wants to turn the cart, the wheels are stuck in those trenches. Your mind is stuck in the trench of thinking. You are not thinking because there is something worth thinking about. You are thinking because you have lost the ability to stop. This is the state of the mechanical man. Psychologists like Pavlov and Skinner spent their whole lives studying this mechanicalness. They experimented with dogs and rats, and they were right, but only about the mechanical part of you. Pavlov discovered that if you ring a bell every time you feed a dog, eventually the dog will salivate just by hearing the bell, even if there is no food. This is conditioning. You are also conditioned. Your overthinking is a conditioned response to life. Whenever a situation arises, your bell rings and your mind starts salivating thoughts. You don't respond to the situation, you respond to your conditioning. To break this habit, you must become aware of the rut. You must see how you repeat the same patterns of worry, the same cycles of anxiety, the same dialogues in your head. Have you noticed that your thoughts are not even new? They are the same old thoughts, recycled thousands of times. It is a stale, dusty room. Awareness is like opening a window and letting a fresh breeze blow through. But first, you must realize that you are the one keeping the window shut. You are clinging to the rut because it gives you a sense of security. The unknown is frightening, but the rut is familiar. Even if it is a rut of misery, at least you know your way around it. Break the routine. This is a very practical method for those who suffer from overthinking. If you always do things in a certain way, change it. If you always walk a certain route to work, take a different path. If you always sit in the same chair, sit on the floor. These small changes shock the mechanical mind. For a moment, the cart is pulled out of the trench, and in that moment, awareness is possible. If you are doing something new, you cannot be mechanical. You have to be alert. This alertness is the beginning of the end of overthinking. Most of your thinking is not action, it is activity. There is a great difference between the two. Action is a response to the present moment, like when you are hungry and you eat. It is necessary, it is spontaneous, and it finishes. Once you have eaten, the thought of food is gone. But activity is a fever. You are doing something not because it is needed, but because you are afraid of being still. You are restless. This restlessness manifests as a constant movement of the mind. You are doing something in your head to avoid the being that you are. Why are you so afraid of being still? Because in stillness, you have to face yourself. In stillness, all the masks fall away. In stillness, you realize the vastness of your own emptiness. This emptiness feels like death to the ego. So the ego keeps you busy with activity, with plans, with memories, with judgments. It keeps the wheel of the mind turning at a furious pace so that you never have to look at the axis which is still. Watch a wheel on a cart. The wheel is moving fast. It is in a constant state of turmoil. But at the very center, the axle is not moving at all. It is because of that unmoving axle that the wheel can move. Your being is that axle. Your mind is the wheel. If you can shift your attention from the wheel to the axle, you will find a peace that surpasses all understanding. This is what I call centering. You are not centered, you are living on the rim of the wheel, being tossed around by every bump in the road. To find the center, you must learn to be spontaneous. Spontaneity means responding to the here and now without the interference of the past. If you are always planning your responses, you are not being spontaneous. You are being a machine. A man who plans is a man who is afraid. He wants to make sure he says the right thing, that he makes the right impression. But the right thing is a dead thing. The real thing is what matters. Even if it is messy, even if it is run according to the society, if it is spontaneous, it has the fragrance of life. Overthinking is the enemy of spontaneity. While you are thinking about what to do, the moment passes. Life doesn't wait for your conclusions. Life is a river, always flowing. If you stop to analyze the water, you miss the river. To be spontaneous, you must trust your intuition. Intuition is a higher form of intelligence that functions beyond the mind. The mind is a step by step process. Intuition is a leap. The mind moves from A to B to C. Intuition jumps from A to Z. It is a direct perception of the truth. But you have been taught to suppress your intuition. You have been taught to trust only your reason. And what has reason given you? It has given you a world of gadgets and a soul of emptiness. It has given you the ability to split the atom, but not the ability to heal a broken heart. Reason is a small tool, useful for small things, but for the great mysteries of life, for love, for death, for silence, reason is utterly useless. It is like trying to measure the sky with a ruler. If you want to stop overthinking, you must move into the gut. In the East, we speak of the hara, the center just below the navel. This is the seat of your life force. When you are centered in the hara, thinking stops. Have you noticed that when you are in a moment of great danger, perhaps a car is suddenly heading toward you, you don't think. You don't analyze the speed of the car or the angle of impact, you simply jump. That jump comes from the hara. It is a total response. After the danger has passed, you might start thinking and your legs might start shaking. But in the moment of action, there was no mind. Learn to live more from that center. When you walk, feel the movement in your belly. When you breathe, feel the breath going deep down into the navel. This pulls the energy away from the head. Your energy is currently stuck in the head and it has become top heavy. This is why you feel so much tension, so many headaches, so much exhaustion. You are a tree with all its sap in the top leaves and no water in the roots. You are going to fall. Return to the roots. Return to the body. The body is much wiser than the mind. The body has the wisdom of millions of years of evolution. The mind is just a newcomer, a few thousand years old, and it is very arrogant. The body knows how to heal itself, how to breathe, how to circulate blood, all without any thought. If you had to think about your heartbeat, you would be dead in a minute. Trust the body. Listen to its signals. If the body is tired, sleep. If the body is hungry, eat. Don't let the mind tell you, I should sleep at 10 or I should eat only this. The should is the mind, the need is the body. As you become more attuned to the body, the overthinking will naturally subside. The body lives in the present. It cannot be in the past or the future. Only the mind can travel in time. By being in the body, you are anchored in the now. This anchor is your protection against the storms of the mind. Whenever you find yourself lost in a whirlpool of thoughts, take 5 deep breaths and feel each one in your hara. You will find that the whirlpool loses its power. One of the basic reasons for overthinking is the fear of making a wrong decision. You think that by analyzing all the possibilities, you can avoid failure. But there is no such thing as a wrong decision in the eyes of existence. Every decision is a learning experience. Even if you fail, you gain wisdom. The only real failure is not to decide at all, to remain in a state of paralysis, hovering between this and that. This state of indecision is a slow death. It eats up your energy and leaves you hollow. Be decisive. Even if you are not sure, choose a direction and go with your whole heart. If it turns out to be a mistake, great. Now you know. Correct your course and move on. Don't spend years standing at the crossroads thinking about which path is better. No path is better. The only thing that matters is how you walk. If you walk with awareness, every path leads to the divine. If you walk in sleep, every path leads to the graveyard. The mind loves to play the game of what if. What if I lose my job? What if she leaves me? What if I get sick? This is a ghost game. You are fighting enemies that don't exist. You are wasting your now energy on a maybe future. This is the height of insanity. If a problem arises in the future, you will deal with it then, with the awareness you have then. Why worry about it now? Does worrying help? No, it only makes you weaker, so that when the problem actually arrives, you have no strength left to face it. Existence gives you exactly what you need for this moment. It doesn't give you the strength for tomorrow's problems today. It gives you the strength for today's tasks. If you use today's strength to worry about tomorrow, you will be exhausted today and unprepared tomorrow. This is the cycle of overthinking. Break it by being complete in each moment. When you do a task, do it so totally that nothing is left over. If you are washing a cup, wash it as if it were the most important thing in the universe. Don't think about the next cup. Be with this cup. When the cup is clean, The act is finished. There is no psychological residue. Overthinking is the result of unfinished business. You do things half heartedly, so a part of your mind stays behind, trying to complete the act. You talk to a friend, but you don't say what you really feel. So later, your mind goes on playing the conversation over and over, saying what you should have said. This is a hangover. To avoid hangovers, be total. If you want to say something, say it. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to laugh, laugh. Don't leave any fragments behind. A man who is total in every moment has a silent mind because there is nothing left to process. The mind is an analyst, and the analyst is always a divider. It cuts things into pieces to understand them. It separates the dancer from the dance, the lover from the beloved, the observer from the observed. But in life, things are not separate. They are a single organic whole. When you analyze, you lose the life of the thing. If you want to understand a flower and you pull it apart petal by petal, you may have all the parts, but you have lost the flower. The beauty is gone, the fragrance is gone, the life is gone. Awareness is a synthesis. It doesn't cut, it embraces. It sees the whole. When you look at your life through awareness, you don't see problems and solutions. You see a movement, a process. You see that your sorrow and your joy are two sides of the same wave. You see that your success and your failure are both part of the same rhythm. This vision brings a deep relaxation. You stop fighting one side of life to get to the other. You accept both. And in that acceptance, the mind stops its analytical chatter. The analyst is always judgmental. He says this is good and this is bad. But existence is non-judgmental. The sun shines on the sinner and the saint alike. The rain falls on the thorns and the roses without discrimination. To be aware means to be non-judgmental, like existence. If you judge yourself, you create a conflict. If you say, I shouldn't be overthinking, you have created a new problem. Now you are thinking about how not to think. This is the trap of the mind. Be like a mirror. A mirror reflects whatever comes before it, but it doesn't judge. If a beautiful woman stands before it, the mirror reflects beauty. If an ugly man stands before it, it reflects ugliness, but the mirror itself remains pure, unpudged, and indifferent. It doesn't say, I want to keep the beauty or I want to get rid of the ugliness. It simply reflects and then lets go. When the person moves away, the mirror is empty again. Your awareness should be like that mirror. Let the thoughts pass through your consciousness. Reflect them, see them, but don't hold on to them. Don't say, this is a positive thought, I must keep it. Or this is the negative thought, I must suppress it. If you try to keep a thought, you get stuck. If you try to push a thought away, it will push back. Just reflect and let go. This letting go is the secret of a silent mind. The mind is also a procrastinator. It is always looking for a way to avoid the now. It says, tomorrow I will start meditating, or next year I will be happy. This is a way of keeping the status quo. The mind knows that if you really move into the now, its days are numbered. So it keeps you hanging on a tomorrow that never comes. Awareness is the realization that tomorrow is a lie. There is no time but this moment. If you want to wake up now. Don't wait for better circumstances. There are no better circumstances. Existence is always perfect, just as it is. If you cannot be happy now, you will never be happy. If you cannot be silent now, you will never be silent. Silence is not something that happens to you. It is something you discover within you. It is always there, waiting for you to stop your noise. Overthinking is a form of noise pollution. And the worst part is it's internal. You can walk away from a noisy street, but you cannot walk away from your own head. Or can you? Yes, you can. By becoming the witness, you have walked away. You are still in the body, but you are no longer the mind. You have moved into a different dimension, the dimension of the observer. From this dimension, the noise of the mind is like the noise of the traffic outside your window. It's there, but it's not you. It doesn't disturb your inner peace. Learn the art of watching. It is the most valuable skill you can ever acquire. Start with small things. Watch your breath. Just the simple movement of the air going in and coming out. Don't try to control it. Just watch. You will notice that as you watch the breath, it becomes slower, deeper, more rhythmic. And as the breath slows down, the mind slows down. The breath and the mind are deeply connected. You cannot have a calm breath and a frantic mind, just as you cannot have a frantic breath and a calm mind. Next, watch your body sensations. If there is a pain in your leg, don't try to move. Just watch the pain. See it as a vibration. Don't call it pain. That's a label. Just see it as an intensity of energy. You will be surprised to find that as you watch the pain, it starts to move, to change, and eventually to disappear. It was only bothering you because you were resisting it. When the resistance is gone, the energy flows. Then watch your thoughts. This is the hardest part, but it is also the most rewarding. See the thoughts as clouds in the sky. Some are white and fluffy. Some are dark and heavy. Some are fast, some are slow. Don't try to change the sky. Just watch the clouds. You are the sky. The clouds are just visitors. They come and they go. If you don't identify with them, they cannot harm you. Identification is the root of the problem. You say, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm worried. This is a mistake in language that reflects a mistake in consciousness. You are not the anger. You are the one who is aware of the anger. Correct your inner language. Say, anger is passing through me. Sadness is being reflected in my mirror. Worry is a cloud in my sky. This small shift in perspective creates a huge distance, and in that distance there is freedom. Most of you are hanging by threads. Your sense of self is so fragile that you are constantly looking for external validation. You want people to tell you that you are good, that you are successful, that you are special. This need for validation keeps your mind in a state of constant overthinking. You are always rehearsing your roles, trying to please others, trying to fit in. This is a life of slavery. A man of awareness is self-validated. He doesn't need anyone else to tell him who he is. He knows. And because he knows, he is free from the opinions of others. He can be himself without any apology. This authenticity is the end of overthinking. You don't have to think about how to behave, you just behave. You don't have to think about what to say, you just speak. Your life becomes an effortless flow. This effortless flow is what I call Tao. It is the way of nature. The grass grows by itself. The stars shine by itself. The heart beats by itself. Why should your life be a struggle? It is a struggle only because you are trying to be in control. You are trying to do life instead of letting life do you. Awareness is the surrender to the whole. It is saying yes to existence. When you say yes, the conflict ends. The no is the mind, the yes is the soul. The no creates the overthinking, the friction, the misery. The yes creates the silence, the harmony, the bliss. Even if the yes leads you into a difficult situation, it is better than a no that keeps you in a safe but dead state. The yes is alive. The yes is a celebration. Do not be a perfectionist. Perfectionism is a disease of the mind. It is the ego's way of saying the present is not good enough. A perfectionist is never happy because he is always looking for what is missing. He looks at a beautiful rose and sees only the one wilted petal. He looks at a beautiful person and sees only the one small scar. This focus on the not enough is the fuel for overthinking. Existence is not perfect in the way the mind thinks. It is whole. And in wholeness, everything has its place. The wilted petal as much as the fresh one. The scar as much as the smooth skin. When you accept the wholeness, you find a beauty that is beyond perfection. You find a peace that doesn't depend on things being a certain way. This is the peace of a Buddha. A Buddha is not someone who has solved all his problems. A Buddha is someone who has outgrown his problems. He has moved into a higher dimension of consciousness, where the old problems no longer exist. It is like a child who is worried about his broken toy. For the child, it is a great tragedy. But when the child grows up, he doesn't solve the problem of the broken toy. He simply forgets it. It no longer has any meaning for him. He has bigger things to deal with. Awareness is the process of growing up. Most of you are grown-up children. You have adult bodies and adult jobs, but your consciousness is still stuck in the fears and desires of childhood. You are still looking for security, for approval, for comfort. Overthinking is just a sophisticated way of crying for help. Wake up. Realize that you are no longer a child. You are a vast, infinite being with the power to create your own destiny. Stop looking for parents, whether they be in the form of a god in the sky, a government, or a spouse. Be your own father and your own mother. Take responsibility for your own life. This responsibility is the birth of your freedom. And in that freedom, The mind becomes a silent observer, a humble servant to the majesty of your soul. I am not here to give you a new belief system. Belief is just another form of sleep. A man who believes is a man who is afraid to know. I want you to know, not through the mind, but through your own experience. I want you to see the truth for yourself. And the truth is not a formula, it is a living reality. It is the reality of your own awareness. As you walk through your day, keep a small corner of your consciousness on watch. No matter what you are doing, be aware that you are doing it. If you are angry, be aware. Anger is happening. If you are happy, be aware. Happiness is happening. This watching is like a lamp in a dark room. It doesn't do anything to the darkness, it simply makes it disappear. Darkness cannot exist in the presence of light. Unawareness cannot exist in the presence of watching. This is the only transformation. All other transformations are just superficial. You can change your religion, your country, your name, but you will still be the same miserable person if you are not aware. But if you become aware, everything changes. Even if you stay exactly where you are, the world becomes a different place because you have different eyes. Be patient with yourself. This is the work of a lifetime and of many lifetimes. But every moment of awareness is its own reward. Don't look for a result in the future. The result is now. The peace you feel in one moment of watching is the goal. There is no other goal. Live your life as a meditation in action. Don't separate your spiritual life from your worldly life. They are one. If you can be aware in the marketplace, you are more spiritual than a monk who is asleep in a cave. Awareness is not a withdrawal from life. It is a total immersion in life. It is living with such intensity that every moment becomes a fire of consciousness. When you are intense, you don't think. Have you noticed? When you are in a state of high creativity, perhaps you are painting or dancing or playing music, the mind is gone. You are in a state of flow. There is no you and no doing. There is only the flow. This is the highest state of human existence. This is where heaven is. You can bring this flow into every aspect of your life. It doesn't have to be a special activity. You can flow while cooking, while driving, while talking to a friend. All it requires is your total presence. Be there 100%. Don't hold anything back, and you will find that the overthinking mind has no place to hide. It simply evaporates in the heat of your presence. My friends, the overthinking you suffer from is not a curse. It is a call to awaken. It is a sign that your mind is no longer enough for you. You have outgrown the cage. You are ready to fly. Don't be afraid of your own heights. Trust your wings. The sky is yours. The journey from the mind to the heart is the most beautiful journey you will ever take. It is the journey from the noise to the silence, from the crowd to the alone, from the many to the one. And I am here to tell you that it is possible. It is possible for everyone because the source is within everyone. Don't listen to the doubters, especially the one in your own head. The mind will always be a doubter because it cannot understand the beyond. It is limited to the known. But you are a traveler in the unknown. You are a seeker of the truth. And the truth is not something to be found. It is something to be lived. Be the truth. Be the awareness. Be the bliss. And let your life be a radiant light that shines in all directions. I see the light in you. Sometimes it is very dim, buried under layers of dust and noise, but it is there. It can never be extinguished. It is your eternal flame. I am just here to blow on that flame, to help it grow into a great fire. The overthinking mind is like a layer of ash on the coals. Don't worry about the ash. Just find the coal and give it some air. The air is your awareness. As you breathe awareness into your life, the coals will start to glow, and soon the ash will be gone. This is the process of unlearning. You have learned too much. You have gathered too much rubbish. Throw it all away. Return to your original innocence. Return to the state of not knowing. In that state, you are a Buddha. In that state, you are home. Remember, you are a key. Awareness is the key to living in balance. Without this key, you will always be out of tune with existence. You will always be a fragment, a discard. But with the key of awareness, you can unlock all the doors. You can find the harmony that is the very heartbeat of the universe. Live in that harmony. Be that harmony. And let the world dance to your song. My beloved ones, the time is now. The door is open. Step through it and never look back. The past is a graveyard. The future is a phantom. Only the now is real. Live in the real and be free. Be silent for a moment and just is. No words, no thoughts, no names, just the pure, vibrant pulse of existence. Can you feel it? That is you. That is the divine. That is the end of overthinking. Stay with that feeling as long as you can. Carry it with you into your work, into your relationships, into your dreams. Let it be the background music of your life, and you will find that overthinking becomes a distant memory, a story from a life you once lived but have now outgrown. You are the master. You are the witness. You are the light. Wake up and shine. Vipassana is the greatest gift Gautama Buddha has given to the world. It is the most simple method, and yet it is the most profound. It is so simple that even a child can do it, yet so deep that even the most complex mind can be transformed by it. Vipassana means witnessing. And the most basic form of witnessing is watching your own breath. But you must understand, I am not talking about pranayam, the yoga of breathing. In pranayam, you are a doer. You are changing the rhythm of the breath. You are making it deep, you are making it fast, you are holding it, you are manipulating the energy. But in Vipassana, you are not a doer at all. You are simply a watcher. The breath comes in and you watch it. The breath goes out and you watch it. You don't make it deep, you don't make it shallow. You allow the breath to be exactly as it is. Your only job is to be there at the door of the nostrils, like a watchman. If the breath comes in, you know, aha, it is coming in. If it goes out, you know, aha, it is going out. This constant awareness of the breath creates a bridge between your conscious and your unconscious. It brings you into the present moment with a surgical precision that no other method can match. As you sit in this silent witnessing, if you feel a surge of gratitude or a moment of clarity, I invite you to click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Your engagement is not just a digital metric, it is an act of spreading this silence to others who are still drowning in the noise of their own thoughts. By subscribing, you become part of a global Sangha, a community of seekers who are waking up together. And if you feel moved to support the continuity of these meditations and help us reach more souls, You can use the join button to become a member or offer a super thanks. Your love and generosity are the fuel that keeps this lamp of awareness burning. As you watch the breath, you will discover something very subtle. There is a point where the breath comes in and stops for a split second before it turns to go out. And there is a point where the breath goes out and stops for a split second before it turns to come in. In those tiny gaps, you are neither breathing in nor breathing out. In those gaps, time stops. In those gaps, you are pure being. If you can catch those gaps, you have caught the secret of life. But you cannot catch them through effort. You can only catch them through awareness. If you are too tense, you will miss them. If you are too relaxed, you will fall asleep. You have to be in a state of relaxed alertness. This relaxed alertness is the key to everything I teach. It is the middle path. Most people are either tense or asleep. They are either overachievers or couch potatoes. But a meditator is neither. He is intensely alive but perfectly relaxed. He is like a tightrope walker. If he is too loose, he falls. If he is too tight, he falls. He has to find that perfect point of balance. And that balance is found through watching the breath. The breath is the rhythm of life itself. By watching it, you are tuning yourself to the rhythm of the universe. As you go deeper into this watching, you will start to realize that you are not the one who is breathing. The body is breathing. The air is moving. You are just the observer. This realization is a massive blow to the ego. The ego wants to believe that I am breathing, I am thinking, I am doing. But in Vipassana, you see that breathing happens, thinking happens, life happens. You are just the space in which it all occurs. This is the death of the analyst and the birth of the witness. The analyst is still trying to control the breath, but the witness is content to just let it be. Now let us talk about the night shift. Most people think that meditation is only for the daytime, but the real test of awareness happens in sleep. You spend 1/3 of your life in sleep. If you are asleep for 8 hours and you are unconscious during that time, then for 25 or 30 years of your life, you are essentially dead. A meditator cannot afford this. A meditator wants to be aware 24 hours a day. But how can you be aware in sleep? It starts with the last thought you have before you fall asleep. If you fall asleep while watching your breath, that awareness will continue like an undercurrent throughout the night. It is like a small flame that stays lit while the rest of the house is dark. Your body is sleeping, your mind is resting, but a small part of you, the witness, is awake. You may even watch your own dreams. You will see the dreams passing like movies on a screen, and you will know this is a dream. You will not be possessed by the dream, you will be the observer of the dream. This is what is called lucid dreaming. But in meditation, it is much more than that. It is the beginning of the deathless state. If you can be aware in sleep, you can be aware in death. Because death is nothing but a long sleep. If you can watch your breath as you fall asleep, you will be able to watch your breath as you leave the body. And the man who can watch his own death is already a martyr. He has seen that the body dies, the mind disappears, but the witness remains. This witness was never born, so it can never die. It is your original face, the face you had before you were born, and the face you will have after you are gone. To help you reclaim this divine state of being, I have prepared a special guide for you. It is called the Hidden Energy Protocol. Reclaim your God mode. You can reach this ebook through the links in the description. This protocol is not just a set of instructions, it is a map to your own internal power. It will show you how to move from the mundane to the sacred, from the human to the divine. It is designed for those who are tired of being victims of their circumstances and are ready to become the masters of their energy. When you are aware, your energy is no longer leaked through anger, greed, and sex. It starts to move upward. It becomes a fountain of light. This is what the ancients called the opening of the 1,000-petaled lotus. It is not a religious metaphor. It is a physiological reality. When your awareness reaches the top of your head, you are no longer a person. You are a presence. You are no longer a drop. You are the ocean. But don't get lost in these high-sounding words. Start from the center. Start from the simple act of watching. When you are walking, be aware of the touch of your feet on the earth. When you are eating, be aware of the taste and the texture of the food. When you are talking, be aware of the words coming out of your mouth. Don't be a robot. Every moment is an opportunity to wake up. And the more you wake up in small things, the easier it will be to wake up in big things. The mind will tell you that this is boring. The mind wants excitement, drama, and conflict. It wants to think about the past or the future. But awareness is always in the now. And the now is the only place where life is. The past is just memory, the future is just imagination. Neither of them exists. Only this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this silence is real. To live in the now is to live in God. If you find yourself overthinking, it simply means you have wandered away from the now. You have left your home and gone to the marketplace of the mind. Don't punish yourself for this, just notice it. Smile at your mind and say, "Come back home." Every time you bring your awareness back to the present, you are strengthening the awareness muscle. Eventually, the mind will realize that it can no longer dominate you. It will become your servant, and a very silent one at that. Be decisive in your awareness. Don't be lukewarm. If you decide to watch, then watch with your whole heart. Don't do it as a chore. Do it as a celebration. It is the greatest adventure a human being can embark upon. It is the journey to the very source of existence. And the beauty of this journey is that you don't have to go anywhere. You are already there. You just have to wake up and realize it. When you are aware, your life becomes spontaneous. You don't need a morality or a code of conduct. Your awareness is your morality. If you are aware, you cannot hurt another person because you can see that the other is not other. The other is just another manifestation of the same divine energy. If you are aware, you cannot be greedy because you can see that you already have everything you need. If you are aware, you cannot be angry because you can see the futility of it. Awareness is the only revolution. Every other revolution has failed. Political revolutions, social revolutions, economic revolutions, they have all just changed the people in power. But the misery has remained the same. Why? Because the consciousness of the people remained the same. You cannot create a beautiful world with ugly minds. The only way to change the world is to change the individual. And the only way to change the individual is through awareness. Be a light unto yourself. This was the last message of the Buddha to his disciples. Don't follow me. Don't follow any scripture. Don't follow any tradition. Just be aware. Let your own awareness be your guide. It will never lead you astray. It will take you through the darkness of the mind and into the light of the eternal. Remember, this is not a serious business. Don't become a serious meditator. Serious people are ill. A true meditator is full of laughter and joy. He sees the cosmic joke of existence. He sees that he has been looking for the truth everywhere, and all the while the truth was within him. He sees that he has been crying for a home while he was already sitting in the master's bedroom. This realization brings a deep, belly aching laugh. Live your life with this laughter. Let it be the background of your awareness. And as you walk this path, keep sharing the light. If this video has touched you, like it, share it, and keep coming back for more. Your support through the join button and super thanks is what allows us to keep this flame alive in a world that is increasingly dark. And don't forget to check out the hidden energy protocol, Reclaim Your God modes, in the description. It is a tool for your transformation. We are all in this together. We are all parts of the same cosmic dance. Let us wake up and dance with awareness. The music is playing, the sun is rising, and the doors of the temple are open. Step inside. Be silent. Be aware. Be bliss. As you conclude this part of the journey, take a deep breath and feel your own presence. You are not a stranger to yourself. You are the most familiar being in existence. Reconnect with that familiarity. Drop the labels, drop the thoughts, and just be. In that just being, you will find all the answers you have been looking for. You are the truth. You are the way. You are the life. I leave you in this silence, in this awareness. But I am not going anywhere. I am right here, in your own heart, in your own breath. We are one. Wake up, my beloved friends, and reclaim your divinity. The world is waiting for you to shine.